Hello everyone, this is Puka and welcome to the finals of the 2011 World Championships from the Senior Division. This is the 11 through 14 age division. Our two competitors are Marco Fachin on the top and Christopher Kahn on the bottom. Marco will be from Italy and Christopher from Australia. And this was an exciting match from this year's World Championships back in 2011. We never really got around to posting this and I do apologize for that. But we're going to get to it now. People always request me to post matches from previous formats, and now we're going to get to this. I really wish we would have done this sooner, but this will be an interesting look at how this year's World Championships played out. You know, in the Masters division we had Ross Coffin and David Cohen in an exciting matchup, and I believe this match probably shows a better look at what the metagame was like for this season. So we're going to have Marco using a Yanmega Magnezone deck against Christopher using a Reshiram Typhlosion deck, and we're going to get started here. Keep in mind this format is Heart Gold, Soul Silver through Black and White. So that means no Pokemon Catcher, first of all, no EXs, and yeah, I guess those are the two big ones. So don't expect those. Instead we have Pokemon Reversal, and there is a Judge, which both players will have to shuffle their hands into their decks and then draw 4 cards. So the Pokemon on the field right now, we have Cleffa for Marco. It's a 30 hit point Pokemon. Free retreat cost, the attack is Eek. It costs 0 energy, you get to shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw until you have 6 cards. We have a Magnemite and a Horsey. The Kingdra line was a tech that was added into the Yanmega Magnezone deck for this matchup in specific, actually. And for Christopher, we have a Reshiram active and a Cyndaquil on the bench. So if you're Marco, early on in the game you want to be getting your Yanmega into play, which he does have that Yanma on the bench now. And you also want to get Magnezone into play as soon as possible. Basically, early on you attack with Yanmega. It has the Pokebody Insight, which, when you have the same amount of cards as your opponent does, you get to use your attacks for free. It has Linear Attack, does 40 anywhere, or Sonic Boom does 70 to the active. So both are pretty good attacks, and they cost 0 energy. Pretty good. So we did see Marco use Eek there. His Cleffa woke up. Eek does put yourself to sleep, but that's actually a good thing, because its Pokebody, Sweet Sleeping Face, prevents all damage done to it when it's asleep. So Cleffa was a very powerful card at this time, allowed you to set up very consistently, and we'll see what happens from here. Looks like Christopher just attached a Fire Energy to his Reshiram after using a Pokegear. And he got a Professor Juniper from his Pokegear. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck and take a supporter card if you want. You don't have to take one. He already took a Juniper from the first one, which should be a familiar card. It's still in the format nowadays. And it looked like he really didn't want to use the Juniper. That's why he grabbed... he tried the Pokegear again. He must have some stuff that he didn't really want to discard, and you can see he discarded a Quilava, which is his stage 1 for Cyndaquil. Now, if you're Christopher, you want to be getting Typhlosions into play as soon as possible. Typhlosion Prime has the Pokepower that allows you to take a Fire Energy from your discard pile and attach it to one of your Pokemon, and then it takes a damage counter. But it's really good for energy acceleration. It allows you to use Reshiram's Blue Flare attack, which, for 2 Fire and a Colorless, does 120 damage, and then you discard 2 Fire Energy attached to the Reshiram. So it's a 130 hit point basic Pokemon, but basically you're just trying to use Blue Flare every single turn and just kind of overpower your opponent before they can really do anything. So Marco, if you're him, he's going to play another Judge here, so he must not have had a good hand off of that Eek. If you're him, you want to be using Pokemon Reversal, which is like Pokemon Catcher, but you have to flip for it. If you get heads, you get to bring up one of those Cyndaquils, and then you want to use Yanmega's Sonic Boom to knock out Cyndaquils before they can evolve into Typhlosions. Because if your opponent can, you know, get all set up before you do any real damage, you're probably going to lose. Magnezone Prime is the big attacker for Marco. He can use the Lost Burn attack. It does 50 damage for each energy you put into the Lost Zone. Now, for those who don't know what the Lost Zone is, it's kind of like removed from the game, but you have to get rid of those energy, and you can only attach 1 per turn. So that is the drawback for it. And there's no real energy acceleration for the Magnezone. So The difference here is, you know, Christopher is going to want to get Typhlosion into play immediately, and he does right there. But he has to pass. And the downside of Typhlosion is that it can only take energy cards from the discard pile and attach to your Pokemon. So if you don't have any energy in your discard pile, you cannot use the Afterburner Pokepower. Otherwise, well, there's no energy to take. So you kind of have to wait. And now it looks like Marco is exploding here on his third turn. He's got Yanmega, you can see Yanmega Prime, and then Magnezone Prime. This was the era of the Prime Pokemon. There's nothing really special about them, they look kind of different. The borders are kind of shinier. And you can see, he has Yanmega in play, he gets a Rare Candy into a Magnezone, and another Rare Candy into Magnezone, which is huge. Magnezone has the Magnetic Draw Pokepower, which allows you to draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. So you can use multiples of these in a turn. And it looks like we had some confusion there. Christopher thought the turn was over. But yeah, I mean, you can just use as many as you want every turn. And there's a Pokemon Reversal. This is honestly going to be the biggest card in this matchup, I would think, now that Marco has set up. If he can hit heads on those reversals and take out those Typhlosions or Cyndaquils, he'll win the game just because Reshiram is too slow since it has to discard 2 energy every time it attacks. If you can only attach once every turn, then it's too slow. So here we see a Junk Arm, which it's a trainer that allows you to discard 2 cards and then you get back a trainer card, which he went for the Pokemon Reversal and got another Tails. So that was a big flip again. He used another Magnetic Draw with Magnezone Prime. He's got 2 out there, and things are looking up. But he's not going to be able to really do anything this turn. He could go ahead and use Lost Burn with Magnezone, but it seems like a big waste since he would have no more energy left in play. So instead he's going to send up Yanmega, and looks like he's going to use Linear Attack, which will do 40 to Cyndaquil. Now, Christopher can respond here just by attaching and using Blue Flare with his Reshiram, which he does. It does 120 damage, takes that out of play. Unfortunately for Christopher, he just does not have any supporters in his hand. He does not have anything beyond this first Reshiram. He doesn't even have any energy. That Judge really disrupted him early on. Now, unfortunately for Marco, he kind of messed up his bench a little bit here. He only left himself room for 1 Yanma. So when the first Yanma got knocked out, he didn't have a backup. And that means he won't have the option to use Yanmega Prime this turn, which is honestly what you want to use for the main portion of the game. You want to clean up with that Magnezone once you have enough energy in play. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to run out of energy, and you're going to lose just because you can't attack anymore. Like I said, Lost Burn puts the energy into the Lost Zone, which is terrible because you can never get it back. It's gone forever. It's, well, literally lost forever. But we do see another Rare Candy into Kingdra Prime, which has the Spray Splash ability. Ability. I'm thinking in the future. This is Pokepower still. Pretty much the same thing as an ability, but the power is that you can place 1 damage counter on your opponent's field every turn. So that is really, really good when you get like 2 of those into play. And we have a Junk Arm for another Reversal and another Tails, so things are not going Marco's way. This has just been painful so far. He has the setup, just the Reversal flips are not going his way. So he's going to use Spray Splash, do 10 to that Cyndaquil, which is, it has 10 hit points left now. And 1 more next turn and he'll be able to get a knockout. Now, if he gets a second Kingdra Prime into play this turn, he could use a second Spray Splash, but it looks like he is just saying, alright, I gotta deal with this Reshiram right now. He's gonna send up his Magnezone, use Lost Burn, and he'll have to put 3 energy into the Lost Zone, which is painful. You can't do that the whole game and expect to win. You're just going to run out of energy. But Christopher, he draws his card for the turn, uses Afterburner, puts the fire onto the Reshiram, and he has to pass. So if I had to guess here, I would say Marco is in an incredible position to win this game. First of all, this turn he could just use Spray Splash to knock out the Cyndaquil. That's probably what he's going to do. He can just take that out of play. And that's not even his attack for the turn. So he can just use that, take a prize, and then attack whatever comes up. So that's going to be amazing. This is just how good that Kingdra Prime really is. That's really why it was added to the deck. And Yeah, I mean, that's all I can say about it. You can afford to fit these cards into the Magnezone Yanmega deck because you have Magnezone Prime. You have that magnetic draw ability to keep letting you draw cards. And this is honestly a slower format than the one we have nowadays. You have time to set up. You don't have these super powerful EX Pokemon knocking on your door from the first turn. You don't have to worry about, Darkrai, Mewtwo, all this stuff. We just have kind of balanced Pokemon. Stage 2, Stage 1s, we're actually seeing evolutions attacking. Reshiram and Zekrom, of course, were really good at this time, but they weren't overpowered or anything like that. You could still compete with them with normal Pokemon. So, we saw the Spray Splash from the Kingdra, and it looks like that's it. That's all he's going to do. He does not have enough energy to use Lost Burn again for a knockout, and honestly, if you're not going to knock out the Reshiram, there's no point in doing it. You're just fueling Reshiram's first attack, Outrage, which you really don't want to do. So we saw a very bad turn for Marco. He's going to Eek, and he gets Tails, which is good. It'll save him, but that's not really what you want to be doing this late in the game, especially considering you have so many Magnezones in play. It's a shocking thing that you actually had to do that turn. Christopher, on the other hand, he still doesn't have a supporter. He's going to Afterburner 1 to his Reshiram. The Cleffa wakes up. He couldn't attack the Cleffa because the Pokebody Sweet Sleeping Face prevents damage to Cleffa when it's asleep. So Christopher, again, just had to pass here. He really hasn't been able to do anything. He only has one Typhlosion in play. Usually you want 2, maybe 3 Typhlosions in play. 2 is usually the magic number you want in play to, get the ball rolling so that you can Blue Flare every single turn. But no, just nothing has been going his way, and here's a reversal, and finally Marco gets a heads on that Pokemon reversal. That is going to be a game changer here. He's going to be able to use Lost Burn this turn with Magnezone Prime. He's going to have to get rid of his 3 energy, but it's at the cost of getting rid of Christopher's Typhlosion, which is his only energy acceleration. So it's definitely worth it in this situation. This is the key to this matchup if you're Marco. And he's going to use Spray Splash, put 10 on that benched Reshiram, and then Lost Zone 3 more energy, which, I mean, it is painful, don't get me wrong, but, I mean, it's worth it. You get rid of your opponent's Typhlosion. Now he's only able to attach 1 per turn, and Christopher attaches a Rescue Energy to his active Reshiram. Now, what that does is, when Reshiram is knocked out by damage, you actually return it back to your hand, which is pretty nice. But, yeah, we'll see if Christopher can actually pull this off just using manual attachments the rest of the game. And you know what? It looks really bad for him, but he might be able to do it. Marco is at 3 prizes. Christopher is at 5. But the problem for Marco is that he really just kind of burned all of his energy again. And Yanmega, it's a good attacker, but he's going to have to attack into a Reshiram, and that means Outrage is coming. Outrage does 20, plus 10 for each damage counter on Reshiram. And it looks like Christopher's going to count how many cards are left in Marco's deck, so maybe he could go for a deck-out win. That would be kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, if Yanmega were to use Sonic Boom for 70, then Reshiram can just Outrage for 110 and knock out Yanmega. And again, Marco, he's kind of gotten his bench in a spot where he can only use 1 Yanmega at a time. He doesn't have a backup Yanma, so he has to wait. He has to bench a new Yanma when one Yanmega gets knocked out, wait a turn, and then evolve the next turn. So it's not good. He would definitely like to have another Yanma instead of that second Horsey out there. That is for sure. And again, he's going to use Eek. This is giving Christopher time to kind of come back in this game. We'll see if he can. He's down 2 prizes. That could be the death sentence here. And wow, still no supporter. He hasn't even seen a Junk Arm, which would allow him to grab that Pokegear. Very, very poor draws from Christopher this game, you gotta admit. And we can take a look at his discard pile. He's only played that Juniper this game, I believe. And that Judge definitely screwed him up. He just does not have anything going for him here. So how will Marco respond this turn? He really didn't do any damage the previous turn. He's actually running low on cards, as you can see. and he's running low on energy. He still has to find a way to take 3 prizes before Christopher takes those 4. Yanmega, again, only works when they have even hand sizes, which it's easy to do when you have Magnezone Prime. You can draw up to 6. If you need to draw more cards, you can just play your cards out. If you need less cards, so it's an easy deck. These cards work together very well. That's why this is one of the top archetypes of the time. Yanmega, Magnezone, and Typhlosion Reshiram definitely were the 2 most popular decks during this era. No doubt about it. And you can see them both in the finals here. That's why they're here. These are 2 great players. They are in the senior division, but they know what they're doing. This is a great match so far. Both players are playing very well. And Marco is just going to attach another Rescue Energy to another Magnezone this turn. Looks like he's got a Magnetic Draw. You got to wonder, what is he fishing for at this point? He might just have to kind of suck it up. And, okay, he's going for a Judge. I guess he wasn't able to even the hand sizes, so he could not use Yanmega's Insight Pokebody. And now this could be the chance that Christopher needed to get back in this game. He's going to get a fresh 4 cards. He has a ton of energy in play. You know, he's got 3 on the active Reshiram, 2 on the benched one. And if he could just, get a couple supporters, get some Typhlosions into play, get the ball rolling, he could definitely be on the winning end of some prize exchanges here. Just because if you get 2+ powers, Blue Flare can actually do 140 damage to knock out a Magnezone Prime. And you got to think at this point Marco is going to struggle to knock out a Reshiram in 1 hit. It's just probably not going to happen. And this turn he's going to use Sonic Boom, I would expect. Attack into that active Reshiram. And then it's only going to do 70, leaving the Reshiram with 40 damage. Or 40 hit points. So there's no good way for Marco to really go about this anymore. He's going to use Spray Splash to put 10 on the active Reshiram. But where is he going to go from here? There's just so many options for him, but none of them seem like the right thing to do. And it looks like, yes, he will just use Sonic Boom for 70. But again, this allows Christopher to just use Outrage. And we see the first Junk Arm of the game from Christopher. He's going to discard a Rare Candy and Typhlosion, get that Pokegear back. He's going to be hoping for a Juniper here. And it looks like that was his first card, so he's going to grab that. And maybe, just maybe, he can start making a comeback here. So he will be able to discard his hand, draw 7 cards. It is a supporter. You can only play 1 supporter card per turn. He also gets to attach an energy to that bench Reshiram. And alright, here we go. Here's a Juniper. He's going to be looking for some Cyndaquils here, I would think. Does he get one? He gets 1. That's good. But only 1. So that's not exactly what he wanted. But it's better than nothing. And he's actually going to Blue Flare. Discard both Fire Energy there. Might as well do that, I guess. Doesn't really matter which one you do there. Outrage works as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously Marco has to knock out this Reshiram now because it's got 100 damage on it, which means Outrage can do 120 for 2 energy. You can't just leave that thing sitting there. You got to knock it out as soon as possible. So even though Marco had such a strong start here, Christopher certainly could take this game still. Reshiram is that powerful, and Marco just was not able to get those easy prizes this game. But uh-oh, we have a second Kingdra Prime coming into play. This is what Marco was looking to do the whole time. Once you get 2 Kingdras into play, you get to place 2 damage counters on things. That's where it gets really scary. You know, you could put 2 damage counters on a Cyndaquil and then linear attack with Yanmega Prime, do 40, and take out that Cyndaquil in 1 hit. The concern for Marco is that he just might not have the resources left to win this game. You can see he's burned through a ton of cards. There are 6 energy in the Lost Zone. You gotta think, what does he have left? We don't have any sort of recovery card in the format at this point. There is no Super Rod or anything like that. There's just, there's nothing. So when stuff is gone, it's just kind of gone. You know, you can Junk Arm for trainers, but there's no way to really shuffle cards back into your deck at this point. Besides a Cleffa maybe, which has already been knocked out for Marco. I also saw he had a Manaphy in his deck, which has a similar attack to Cleffa, but that was discarded as well. So he might actually just run out of cards before he wins the game. And that is one of the ways to win in the Pokemon TCG. If your opponent can't draw a card at the beginning of his turn, then he loses. So, essentially it looks like Marco has 3 turns to win this game. Here is a Pokemon reversal, and this is a big flip. Looks like it fell off the table. There's a heads, so he's going to be able to take one of these things. Looks like he's going for that Cyndaquil. And this is going to be a very, very, very close finish. He does have those 2 Kingdras out. Looks like he's deciding not to choose a Cyndaquil. Not sure what's going on there. Sorry. He might be... I don't know, he might be looking over some options just to see what is the best decision here. It doesn't look like he has a great option at this point. He's going to look at his Lost Zone, see how many Lightning are in there. How many Lightning Energy can he actually have left? There's only 3 cards left in his deck. You do need a Lightning Energy to use Magnezone Prime's Lost Burn. And man, you gotta wonder, how is he going to take his 3 prizes? He does have those 2 Spray Splashes available. He does have Lost Burn available if he has a Lightning. But is that enough? And I guess it's going to be the question here. He's probably afraid of Reshiram having 2 plus powers to add 20 damage to knock him out with Outrage or Blue Flare. That could be a problem. He probably wants to go for the Cyndaquil, since he could Spray Splash 1 onto the Cyndaquil, and then 1 onto the Reshiram, and then set it up for a knockout next turn. But this is a risky situation no matter what. But, you know, you might just be at the point where you have to take the risk. And he actually reversals up the Reshiram with the 3 energy on it. And, alright, he's going to go for this. Sending up Magnezone Prime. It's surely going to fall next turn, you got to think. But he's going to Lost Burn. He needs to Lost Zone 2 energy this turn. And we gotta wonder which ones is he gonna get rid of. He might just be out of Lightning Energy at this point and might not be able to close this game out. So he's gonna knock out that Reshiram that was fully powered. But now that other Reshiram has 110 damage on it, which means an Outrage and a plus power will take down that Magnezone Prime. And you gotta think, if Christopher has that, he's probably gonna take the game. Here is a Pokemon Collector. You get to search for 3 basic Pokemon and put them into your hand. So he gets a Reshiram, a Cyndaquil, and another Reshiram. I don't believe he actually plays any other Pokemon besides Cyndaquil, Reshiram, and then maybe Cleffa or Tyrogue. There's no Ninetales in this deck, which was common at the time to give yourself some extra draw power. But does he have that plus power or a Rare Candy and a Typhlosion this turn? And no! Wow, that was a big missed opportunity for Christopher. If he would have had a plus power or a Rare Candy and a Typhlosion, he could have pulled off a knockout there, since Typhlosion's Afterburner would have put 10 extra damage on the Reshiram and allowed Outrage to do 140 damage. Huge missed opportunity. And now Marco might just have enough juice to finish this game. He's going to put 2 damage counters on that Reshiram using Spray Splash. And he's only got 2 cards left. Does he have any Lightning Energy left? You gotta assume that he does. Uh-oh, here's a Pokemon reversal. This could be the game. Oh, Tails. Wow. A lot of games in this format just came down to those reversal flips. And that was a good example of why. Man, that was so close. All it took was that heads there, and if he had a Lightning Energy, the game would have been over. Here's Jirachi. He's going to use Stardust Song, I believe is the name of the power. Flip 3 coins and for each heads, get a Psychic Energy back from the discard pile. And oh no, he flipped 3 tails. If any one of those would have been heads, and then he had a Lightning Energy, he could have had 3 energy in play to use Lost Burn for the win. And now you got to think, this is getting kind of dicey. He's going to do 100 to the active Reshiram, just kind of saying, okay, I got really 3 turns to win this game, and I have 2 Spray Splashes every turn. I should be able to win here. The only way I'm not going to win is if Christopher can catcher, see, I'm in the future already, reversal my Kingdras and knock them out, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And Marco will just barely take this game, I think. He's going to Spray Splash twice on to the Reshiram. Unfortunately, Christopher has 3 prizes left at this point. Was not able to get another Typhlosion into play. And Marco just has to take that one last prize, and I don't think there's any way Christopher can avoid it. And yep, just like that, Marco will take this first game, a very incredible back and forth game, and you almost thought he was not going to be able to pull that one off. He was probably going to run out of resources, but no, he was able to just barely win that game. And wow, what else can you say about that? Now, if you're Christopher, you got to be actually feeling good about that. That was probably the worst game you could ever have. You barely ever got anything going. You were just sitting there with Reshrams, attaching and, well, honestly, passing for a lot of the game. Your opponent was setting up completely, and you still were that close to winning. You gotta think if he had hit that plus power that one turn to knock out that Magnezone, he would have won that game. I am very confident in that. But it didn't happen, and now he's in the position where he's got to win 2 games in a row to be the world champion. So there is a lot on the line here, folks. If Marco wins one more game, he is the world champion, which means you take home $7,500, a trip to next year's World Championships, which was in Hawaii, I believe, and you also get some exclusive promo cards, one that says #1 trainer. You get stamped cards that say finalist. These are extremely rare cards worth a lot of money. And let's not forget, you are the world champion. You get the title of world champion. Only one person gets that in each division every year. And you go down in the history books as the best player in the world for this year. That's all there is to it. So much money and prestige on the line here. A lot of pressure, and these guys are not even 15 years old yet. So, got to be a lot of nerves going through these guys. A lot of pressure. For Marco, you got to be feeling really excited. It's just one more game, and you just become the world champion. For Christopher, it's, alright, I got to make a comeback here. I'm really nervous. I'm down a game, but you know what? I know I can win these next 2. And that's all it takes. 2 games. I've won a ton of games to get here. I made it through the Swiss rounds of day 1. I made it past top 16, top 8, top 4. I'm here in the finals. I know I can do this. I've done it plenty of times before. I just have to win 2 games in a row, and I am world champion. You gotta think, when do you ever get another opportunity to be the world champion? It doesn't happen very often. It's very difficult to make it this deep into these tournaments. So there's a lot on the line here. Sure, a lot of this comes down to luck, but if you're ever going to be focused and not make mistakes, this has to be your moment. So he's going to mulligan there. He does not have a basic Pokemon in his opening hand, so he has to shuffle in and draw a fresh 7 cards. So Marco will be able to draw an extra card at the start of the game. That's what a mulligan is for Pokemon. It's not like Magic the Gathering where you can choose to shuffle in your hand and then draw one less card. That's not how it works in Pokemon. You are forced to start with a basic Pokemon. That's just the mechanics of the game. And if you don't have one, you have to shuffle in and draw a new hand of 7. So we'll see if he gets a Pokemon this time. Looks like he does get a Reshiram, which is exactly what he wants. So, Christopher lost the first game, which means he will go first in the second game. Technically, you get to choose who goes first, but since there is no drawback to going first, you will always choose to go first, unless you're completely insane. So we have a Professor Juniper. You're going to see Christopher discard his hand there. He wants to get Fire Energy in the discard pile. That's good. He attached to his active Reshiram and then passed. And now it's going to be up to Marco to get something going. He starts with his Jirachi, which is the worst Pokemon you can ever start with. Jirachi can only use its power when it comes into play. The attack is kind of useful, not always that useful though. And you have to pay to retreat it, so honestly, Jirachi is your absolute worst starter in this deck. No question about it. And that is unfortunate for Marco to start with that, but that is the risk you take when you play a Pokemon like Jirachi. So we see that Pokemon communication. You reveal a Pokemon, shuffle it into your deck, and then grab a different one. So he's going to grab Cleffa, which signals to Christopher that Marco just didn't have a very good hand. And there is a Judge. So both players will shuffle in and draw 4 cards. And yeah, this is just kind of a rough start for Marco. He really wants to get at least a Yanma or a Magnemite in play this turn, since you do have to have a Pokemon in play for a full turn before you can evolve it. So he wants to draw either a Yanma or a Magnemite off of these 4 cards, or a way to get them. Otherwise, this is a bad start for him. If he can manage to get one in play, it'll be an okay start. So there's a Magnemite. That's perfect. He won't be able to put on any pressure with a turn 2 Yanmega. That's unfortunate, but things could be worse. And so he will use Cleffa's Eek, shuffle his hand into his deck, draw 6 cards, and then poor Cleffa will go to sleep. And hopefully stay asleep, otherwise there's a big Reshiram staring him down. And that's probably not going to end well for little old Cleffa. So Cleffa does go to sleep, which will protect it from Reshiram attacking it. We'll see, did Christopher get anything good off of his 4 cards from the judge? And it looks like yes, he got a Professor Juniper. He had to discard a Junk Arm and a Typhlosion there, which is unfortunate. But he will be able to get some new stuff. And alright, there's a Junk Arm, discards another Typhlosion and a Cyndaquil. So it looks like he's going to grab a rare candy from his discard pile, which will allow him to skip the stage 1, go right into the stage 2, Typhlosion Prime. And if he can hit a Pokemon reversal here, he can have a huge turn 2. But it looks like he does not. He does not have any way to move that Cleffa out of the active spot, so he's going to have to pass. And Cleffa will wake up. Perfect flips here for Marco. Stays asleep when he wants it to, wakes up when he needs it to. And now we'll see where he can go from here. He gets a Magneton, which is not as good as Rare Candy Magnezone, but better than nothing. Puts down a Yanma. And we'll see if he has any supporters for the turn. If not, he'll just have to use Eek. And that is exactly what he's doing here. Eek, shuffle into your deck, draw 6 cards again. This is honestly the kind of the defining card in the format, Cleffa. It kind of showed how slow the game was at this point. You know, you could start attacking turn 2, but just the fact that Cleffa was an option was very telling. Nowadays, I don't think a card like Cleffa would be used at all, especially because of its 30 hit points. It would be kind of tough to justify using that in today's format. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to see a Sage's Training from Christopher that will allow him to look at his top 5 cards, and then you take 2, discard the other 3. And once again, Cleffa stayed asleep. So even though Christopher had an incredible start this game, turn 2 Typhlosion, that darn Cleffa is preventing him from really doing anything with it. But now we see a Magnezone from Marco, so he's going to be able to start setting up more and more and more with that Magnetic Draw Pokepower. We have a Pokemon Collector, so he can search for 3 basic Pokemon and put them into his hand. So we see a Yanma. Probably wants another Magnemite in play, but he's going to grab a Horsey. And let's see what else he grabs. A Manaphy. It's an interesting card to grab. Maybe he has a Junk Arm and he just wants to discard some cards that he doesn't feel like he'll be able to use. Marco, his biggest problem actually here is that his bench is not good. If you're playing the Yanmega Magnezone deck, you would like to have 2 Magnezones in play, 2 Yanmegas in play, and then a Kingdra, and then 1 extra Pokemon. The biggest thing is being able to have 2 Magnezone, 2 Yanmega, and then a Kingdra. But the way things are set up now, he has that Cleffa and the Jirachi. So he only has space for 4 other Pokemon. So what do? If you get 2 Magnemites, then you only have room for 1 Yanmega, 1 Kingdra. And basically you're just going to be 1 short of something you want. And you can see he decided to go with an extra Magnemite and a Horsey. So he is deciding to say, you know, I don't think Yanmega is going to be too useful in this matchup. I'm going to need to attack with it, but I feel like something else is going to be better. And alright, he's going to Junk Arm for a Pokemon Communication. Grab a Yanmega Prime. And we'll see where he goes from here. That Cleffa did still stay asleep, so he cannot retreat, he cannot attack again. So if he wants to do anything, he'll need to switch to get that Cleffa out of the active spot. He'd probably send up Yanmega at that point. and use one of the attacks, but nope, he's going to pass and stay asleep one more time. There is a fully powered Reshiram that just cannot attack this little baby. How funny is that? Now here's another Pokegear from Christopher. He's going to grab a Sage's Training off of that. He's really burning through his deck very quickly this game, something he was not able to do in the first game. He's playing supporters every single turn, setting up immensely, and we'll see if he decides to play that Sage. You got to be careful not to burn too many cards, but it looks like he's going to play it anyway. We'll see what he grabs. Looks like a rare candy, and something else I wasn't able to catch. He discards a Fire, a Reshiram, and a Cyndaquil. Discarding his basic Pokemon aren't too bad because he can use Revive, and also he has that Rescue Energy, which when you knock that Pokemon out, you get to return it to your hand. And alright, looks like he got his second Typhlosion Prime into play. This is really the number you want to hit. Once you get 2 Typhlosions out, you can use 2 Afterburners every turn, which is huge. And oh my goodness, that Cleffa is so lazy. It stayed asleep one more time. Wow. This is actually kind of good and bad for Marco. It's giving him time to set up a lot of energy in play, which is good. It's giving him time to set up his Pokemon. But at the same time, he actually kind of wants that Cleffa to get out of there and get knocked out. Because he wants that extra bench spot. And he doesn't have it right now. So I don't know. If given the opportunity to attack with something like Yanmega, I don't know that he would. I think he kind of just wants Cleffa to get knocked out. As weird as that sounds, you want the bench space to be cleared up. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he draws a switch or anything like that. He played a Pokemon Communication. I don't think he grabbed anything. And then he's going to use Magnezone's Magnetic Draw. He's going to be looking to get another Magnezone in play, and then a Kingdra into play. That way, he could take advantage of the fact that this game is being so slow. If you get to ping away with 10 damage every time, with Kingdra's Spray Splash every turn, then you don't care if your opponent's not doing anything. You're going to be at an advantage. It's going to be kind of a big war, but you're on the winning end because you're kind of doing something at least. But wow, Cleffa stayed asleep again. How is this happening? And we have Christopher going for a Juniper this game. And you got to worry that he's actually going to go through too many cards. As weird as that sounds. He may actually just burn through his deck before he has an opportunity to do anything. I don't know if he should use the Juniper there. And he decides not to. And wow, Cleffa stays asleep again. Are you kidding me? This is like 3 or 4 turns in a row. And what seemed like this was going to be, you know, an early lead for Christopher, just kind of steamrolling through Marco, now has just become kind of a standstill. Both sides powering up as much as they can. We're going to have a Junk Arm from Marco. He's going to go for a Pokemon Communication. See what he takes this time. Okay, we got a Magnezone, which means he will get a second Magnezone into play. And it's hard to tell who this situation actually favors. You know, you could say, well, Christopher's getting the opportunity to power up all these big old Reshirams. So you got to think, well, wouldn't he be at the advantage? He's getting the opportunity to just power up a bunch of blue flares in a row. But at the same time, Marco gets the opportunity to get a ton of energy in play for Magnezone's Lost Burn. And once again, you gotta be kidding me. Cleffa is still asleep? What is going on? Nothing has happened so far in this game. There's a lot of scary things that look like they might happen, but nothing is happening. Hey, Cleffa! Welcome to the party. It woke up. But now, like I said before, what is Marco going to do? Is he going to sit there and just kind of say, see ya, Cleffa, I don't actually want you anyway? Or is he going to be the one to be aggressive and send up Yanmega and start attacking? Those are really the two options he has here. So, this has been a strange game to say the least. That one little Cleffa has changed absolutely everything. And, you gotta say, a lot of people dislike this format because it revolves so much around flips. Like this Pokemon Reversal right here, this could be a huge flip, and we have a heads. Uh-oh. What is Marco gonna go for? He's gonna go for the Typhlosion with the fire energy attached to it. And yeah, you can see this format came down to a lot of flips. Pokemon reversals, baby flips, all sorts of stuff. So, I don't know. It's kind of a mixed feeling for a lot of people, whether or not they actually like this format. But it was okay, I guess. Now he's deciding to go with Magnezone's Lost Burn, I think. Yep, that's what he's going to do. He is deciding, alright, I need to get rid of my opponent's Typhlosions if I can. And alright, he actually takes the first prize, as weird as that is. He takes the first prize thanks to Cleffa. Alright, so here we have 1+ power. We're going to have a Junk Arm, discards 2 Pokemon Collectors for a second plus power. And this is a big turn for Christopher. Because Marco, he lost zone the 1 Lightning attached to his active, and then the 2 attached to his bench Magnezone, leaving him with just 1 energy in play. And that energy is only on that Magnezone, which is now knocked out. So now he's just left with, well, a whole lot of nothing. He's left with a Yanmega, and a Magnezone that can't really do anything. And a Jirachi, a Cleffa, and a Horsey. That's not very good. He really doesn't have many options here. He doesn't have anything to really attack into that Reshiram. And Christopher's got to be feeling good at this point. He took down really the only threat in play. He still has a Typhlosion out there. He would like to have more, but he doesn't. And, yeah, I don't know. Where are we going to go from here? We have another Magnemite coming down. And, let's see. What will Marco decide to do here? He plays a Judge, so both players will shuffle in and draw 4. You gotta think he might just set up Cleffa and Eek this turn, because where does attacking with Yanmega even get you? What are you gonna do? 70? And then you just get outraged for a knockout. And then you don't have a follow-up for next turn, honestly. You can linear attack the Typhlosion, maybe. Set that up to be knocked out by maybe a Jirachi. It actually has an attack Time Hollow, which lets you de-evolve one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you can get that Typhlosion up to 60 damage, you could actually knock that out by bringing it back down to Cyndaquil. That could be one way to go about this. But really, no matter what you do, it's not going to be a positive trade for you. Reshiram's always going to come out on top in this situation. But we'll see what he decides to do. There are plenty of options. He would like to get Kingdra into play, that's for sure. So we do see a Pokemon communication here. We'll see if he does get that Kingdra out. He's going to search for something. If he has a rare candy, he definitely will go for the Kingdra. It's taking a long time to search through his deck, so I don't really know what he's thinking about here. I wish we could get a view of his deck or something like that, but unfortunately we only get this nice overhead view. And we'll have to see what Marco does here. So you can see Christopher, he's got his hand on his head. You can see he's kind of probably a little nervous, but he's got to be feeling good about his spot at this point. And Marco, I don't know, he's got a lot of pretty shiny cards out there, but none of them really do anything right now. And okay, it looks like he actually didn't take anything, which is interesting. And he's actually going to linear attack the Typhlosion for 40 damage, which I actually think is the best play there. We really don't have any other option. So he's going to... Oh, Christopher doesn't actually have an energy to attack with that Reshiram there, so he's actually going to retreat and use Blue Flare. Now, you noticed he had some supporters in his hand, and he just didn't play any. Why would he do that? I'm thinking that now he has 7 cards in his hand, which is kind of the magic number for avoiding Yanmega. One of the strategies against Yanmega Prime is to build enough cards in your hand that your opponent can't copy your hand size. And if they can't copy your hand size, then, well, Yanmega can't attack. That is just the downside to it. So that's probably why he did what he did. I think in that situation you're probably better off just playing the supporter, though, since your opponent doesn't have a Yanma in play. There's no Yanmega threat. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. I could say anything just sitting back here. We do have a Junk Arm. Actually discarded a rare candy. Going for the Pokemon reversal. And a heads, uh-oh. And this is why I feel like that was kind of a risky move. Discarding so many energy from your play. If this Typhlosion gets knocked out, you are done for. You don't have any energy acceleration anymore. So all it takes from Marco here is one more energy. He can Lost Burn for the knockout on that Typhlosion. And then all we have left is a bunch of manually attaching Reshrams, which is the worst spot you could be in. And oh, looks like Marco actually attaches to the Magnemite instead. So it looks like a big missed opportunity for him here. He could have gone for the Lost Burn and knocked out this Typhlosion. I'm kind of curious as to why he wouldn't do that. Maybe he's running low on energy, something like that. But it's a curious choice to not just take out that Typhlosion and, you know, go from there. Looks like maybe he has 2 energy already. Oh, that's why. Oh, just shut up now. Yeah, I was wondering why. That just seemed really weird, but I just couldn't see the other energy. And now Christopher is on the back foot, that is for sure. He is just almost done for. You know, he's still going to take 4 prizes. The game is tied up 4-4. All he has is Reshrams. No Cyndaquils, no Typhlosions. How do you come back from this? And you got to think Marco is well on his way to being the world champion. He is just in an incredible position at this point, and it's hard to see a way for Christopher to win at this point. I mean, Reshiram is pretty good, but when you can only attach 1 energy per turn, it's not really that good, honestly. So we do see a magnetic draw from Marco's Magnezone. He gets a Magneton into play. Now he's going to need a switch this turn to get out of there. Otherwise, his Magnezone is toast. He's going to... Looks like, oh, actually, he can't find a switch, so he's going to Lost Burn for 100 damage. Now, I have mixed feelings on this. This leads to some bad things for him. And as we can see there, Christopher has no Cyndaquils left. He is just doomed to using Reshiram the rest of the game and nothing else. He also needs to attach from his hand every turn. He might have a bunch of energy gone, and he might not be able to do anything. But the Lost Burn for 100 there, I actually disagree with. Because now that allowed Christopher to just outrage for 120 damage, which was bad. You need to force him to use extra energy attachments in that situation. Because you gotta think he's running out of energy. He needs to attach every turn. The only energy in play he had was on that active Reshiram, so if he's gonna commit and attach another one and Blue Flare you for 120, that's gonna be it for his energy in play. And you're fine with that. But now he gets to attach an extra energy to his bench Reshiram. He got to knock out your Magnezone, and we're still tied up here. And Marco has not been able to get that Kingdra into play, which is really huge. And Christopher might actually just win with Reshrams. That's the crazy situation we're in. He's going to outrage that Yanmega for 60. So if Yanmega uses Sonic Boom and hits the Reshiram for 70, it just gets knocked out by Outrage. And man, these games have been extremely close, really weird, honestly. And I really don't know who's going to win again. This could go either way. You know, if Marco wins, he is the world champion. If Christopher wins, he is 1 game away from, you know, making a comeback, being the world champion himself. And man, you gotta wonder, how is this one going to end up? I think Marco is kind of going through his options. There are 6 energy in his Lost Zone. I believe there's a Rescue energy in his discard pile as well. And also a Psychic, which he can't really get rid of. Or he can't really get back because his Jirachi is in play already. So he could just be running low on energy. He plays a switch there. He might have needed to do that to even up the hand sizes. Looks like Christopher does have 6 cards in hand. And like I said before, the hand trick size can actually end up being the difference. If Marco can't match their hand sizes, then Yanmega can't attack anymore. And with so few energy in play, you gotta think he really can't attack with anything besides Yanmega. So man, this is just a brutal situation. So he did switch and retreated back to his Yanmega. I mean, that might have been to draw an extra card with Magnezone's Magnetic Draw. But again, we're getting low on cards. Marco is running very low on resources. He's kind of burned through his stuff too quickly. And will he be able to finish out this game? I don't know. This is really intense, to say the least. Now, what will he do here? I don't think he has any choice but to hit the active Reshiram for 70. He's going to be knocked out regardless. And yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. But if Christopher can just attach every turn, I think he'll actually be on top here. As weird as that sounds. So here's a Junk Arm. He's going to discard Professor Elm's Training Method, and then a Pokemon Communication, since there are no Pokemon even left in his deck anymore. And he's going to grab Energy Retrieval, which is going to be huge here. Get back 2 Fire. That's 2 additional attachments he'll have now. He didn't have a Fire in his hand, so that is very, very big. And now he's going to be able to just Outrage for the knockout. He'll go down to 2 prizes. He's actually going to use a Plus Power as well. I'm really not sure why he did that. But he did. I guess to get himself at 5 cards instead of 6. Make it tougher on Marco to play down his cards this turn. That could be a possibility. He's fluctuating his hand size just to make sure the Yanmega can't attack. But we do have a communication there. So Marco will be down to 5 cards at this point, I think. 5 or 6. He should be able to even hand sizes either way. And knock out this Reshiram. The question is, can he knock out 3 of them? He has 3 prizes left to take, and they're all 130 hit point monsters. Can he pull it off? You gotta wonder, how many energy are left? How many cards are left? Can he afford to attach an energy this turn and still be able to attack with Yanmega? There are a ton of questions here, and I don't know the answers to them. But we will see. This is coming down to the wire. You can't ask for anything better from the World Championships, that's for sure. Definitely an exciting matchup. This is from 2011. So, this was 2 years ago by now. About a year and a half, I suppose. A completely different format than what we have nowadays, but still cool to watch nonetheless. Alright, now Marco, he's looking through his deck again, trying to see what he can grab, and he grabs that Kingdra Prime. This could end up playing a big role in this matchup at this point. If he can rare candy into it and get it into play. And then still be able to attack with Yanmega. That would be huge. But I actually feel like he won't have enough cards in his deck left to do anything. As weird as that sounds, I actually think he's going to run out of cards before he can win. And he won't be able to even up the hand sizes with Yanmega Prime. And be able to even attack this Reshiram this turn. I actually don't think he'll be able to do that. It's tough to tell. I mean, I don't have an exact count on what is in his discard pile and all that stuff, but if I had to guess, I would say he's just going to run out of resources here. And this is the second game in a row where he's just come so close to running out of resources. Resource management was a very big deal with the Yanmega Magnezone deck. Since you have to loss burn all of your energy into the loss zone, there's no recovery cards in the format, like Super Rod or anything like that. So you just have to be careful not to discard too many things at once. And you have to make sure that you have just enough to win the game. And does he have enough to win? That is what we need to find out here. He's going to bench a Magnemite. We'll see where this goes. I really think he's just trying to find ways to even hand sizes, and okay, he's just going to use Sonic Boom for the knockout, take down the Reshiram. Christopher's just going to draw, attach, and Outrage for 20. And that is actually the perfect number to Outrage for. Since you can do 20. And oh, Pokemon Reversal, this could be huge! And oh, is that a heads or a tails? That looks like a tails. That would have been a huge flip to bring up a Reshiram and just be able to Sonic Boom it twice without Christopher being able to move it. And it looks like Cleffa is coming out. We may see an Eek, and we do. Wow. This is a big turn of events. We'll see how Christopher responds to this one. We're going to see Cleffa draw 6 cards here. You got to wonder how many cards are even left at this point. Looks like enough. Looks like there might be 2 cards left in his deck after that. Cleffa will stay asleep. And Christopher's going to pass. And looks like Cleffa wakes up this time. But you got to wonder, does Marco have enough cards left to win the game? That's it. And he hasn't been attaching energy either. So how is he going to win? I don't understand how he can win at this point. It looks like he might just be playing it out to play it out. But I actually think he's run out of stuff. And just Reshiram has been able to finish off Marco in what I can only describe as a very bizarre game. Now it looks like there are 3 cards left in his deck from this angle now. So I'm not really sure. And Christopher is going to attach a 3rd energy to his Reshiram. I'm glad he didn't decide to blue flare there. That would have been a big mistake, I think. And man, I can't stress how big that Pokemon reversal was that previous turn. If he had gotten heads on that, I think Christopher actually loses, because he just wouldn't have enough energy to really do anything at that point. And that would have been a terrible situation for him. And you got to think Marco would have won there, but you live by the flip, you die by the flip. That is the name of the game here. And I think Marco here was just trying to stall the game out as long as he could in hopes that Christopher would deck out. But he has that Professor Oak's new theory to save him. He's going to shuffle in his hand and draw 6 cards to prevent himself from decking out. So wow, that was a really good strategy from Marco, using that Cleffa in that way. But now, you got to think this game is over. I don't know. How many cards are left in Christopher's deck? This is such a weird situation. Who's going to deck out first? But okay, he has another Professor Oak's new theory. He got that off his prize. So you got to think Christopher wins this game no matter what. Looks like this is all but over at this point. But very well played by Marco to even give himself a chance here. And wow, he actually only had 1 card left. Winning by the slimmest of margins here. And this actually isn't over. If Marco can get a rare candy and then a stage 2 into play and then has a switch, Christopher will deck out. That's just it. We could see a world champion on a deck out here. Does he have a way to stop Christopher from taking this last prize? If he can survive 1 turn, he will win the world championships. That is the crazy situation we are in right now, folks. Wow, it's all coming down to this. I didn't expect that to happen. I really did not. But, man, it is just, it's all riding on this. What does Marco have left? And no, he doesn't have anything left, and he has to concede the game. Christopher Khan will win an extremely close game and does not get any closer than that. Wow, I cannot believe that. I've seen some close games in my day, but they usually don't happen on such a big stage with so much pressure. Oh my goodness, there's so much on the line here, and now we're going to go into the final Game 3. We're going to have a 3rd game of the series, which I don't think anyone can argue this has been an incredible series so far between these 2 guys. And, I mean, whoever wins or loses, both guys get a lot of credit for how they're playing this matchup. It's been a treat to watch, and whoever wins will definitely deserve it here. But wow, these guys are putting on a show, that is for sure. I still can't believe Christopher barely won that game, and Marco just could not pull that one off. And like I said, that Pokemon reversal, if he had flipped heads, he definitely would have won. He would have decked Christopher out, for sure. That was not a strategy I saw coming, but if I look at it now, if he had flipped heads on that Pokemon reversal to bring up that Reshiram, he definitely would have won the game and won the tournament, been declared world champion. But just like that, one flip of the coin, that's all it takes, and Christopher takes that game, and we are in a 1-game series to see who wins the title of world champion. $7,500 first prize, a trip to next year's world championship, all sorts of prizes, cards, and of course, the big old trophy as well. And you know, you get to be called world champion, which nobody can ever take away from you. So wow, who is going to win this game? It's tough to tell. These guys are evenly matched. They are finding creative ways to win, or at least give themselves a chance to win. But you gotta feel like Christopher actually has some sort of advantage here. It seemed like the game is broken down a lot, and he was very close to winning both those games. He probably should have won the first game as well, but just fell a little short. He won that crazy second game where he actually did not have any Typhlosions left. So I don't really know. This could go either way. At the same time, Marco, you know, he could just set up and overrun Christopher before he sets up. Who knows? Anything can happen. All I know is that Marco will go first since he lost the second game. So he will have an inherent advantage based on that. But both these guys are going to set up in which I'm sure will be the most intense game of their lives. I cannot imagine a more stressful situation. Marco will mulligan here, so Christopher will start with an extra card, and we will get set up here. Like I said, so much pressure here. I don't know, man. I don't know how these guys are doing it. This is the biggest stage in the world. If you play the Pokemon TCG, you cannot ask for anything bigger. This is the end goal for you, the World Championships. This is what you play for all year. You had to get qualified for this tournament. You had to win, either do well at your national championships or, you know, win a lot during the regular season to earn yourself an invitation based on rating points. And that is not easy, let me tell you. These guys worked to get where they are today, and this is the end of the road. You either win, you achieve your goal, or you go home second place. You still feel pretty good about yourself, but you really wish you win here. Alright, so Marco's going to go first, and oh no, he starts with Pachirisu. Another one of those Pokemon that you just do not want to start with. So that's 2 games in a row. He is starting with one of the worst Pokemon possible. You know, he is taking the risk by playing that Jirachi, playing that Pachirisu, but he plays a ton of other Pokemon, and it's very unfortunate that he has to start with Pachirisu here too, especially in the biggest game of his life. You gotta feel for him there. So he's gonna attach to the Pachirisu. He plays a Pokemon Communication for a Cleffa, and alright, he's just going right for it. He's gonna play a Judge. Both players will shuffle their hand into their deck to draw 4 cards. This could be very disruptive for Christopher, who does not appear to play Cleffa, actually. So he's going to need to cross his fingers and hope to draw a supporter, which, you know, he does play a lot of. Something I noticed is I actually don't think he plays Pokemon Reversal. I have not seen one of those out of Christopher yet, which is very strange. Pokemon Reversal was one of the biggest cards in the format, especially in the Typhlosion deck. And it's very shocking to see that he does not have any. I may be wrong, but it looks like he just doesn't play any. And that could be... I mean, that is just very strange to me. I don't know. But maybe he's just playing extra supporters instead. Hard to tell. So the Cleffa wakes up. That could be a very big deal. We see a Pokegear for 7 cards, and he gets to take that Sage's Training. Not probably the one he wanted, but you know, it's better than not hitting a supporter at all. Juniper would have been the best one to draw a fresh 7, but you know, Sage is acceptable. He does have a plus power in his hand, so he's going to play that Sage's Training. And oh, there's a second plus power. He should definitely take that, I think. Yeah, definitely. So he's going to discard those 3 cards. He gets a Juniper and a plus power. Those are perfect cards. He's going to attach, play 2 plus powers on the first turn, and beat that Cleffa for 30 damage and take a prize on the first turn. And this is going to set Marco back big time. That is just... that's an incredible advantage for Christopher. Being able to take the first prize, forcing that Pachirisu to come active, pay another retreat cost. Oh man, that is just devastating for Marco. That is the difference between Cleffa waking up or staying asleep. Wow. And we know that Christopher also has a Juniper for next turn, so great start for him. We do have a Pokemon Collector for Marco. He's going to be able to search for 3 basics. He gets Magnemite, Yanma Magnemite, which is good. This game, he's really going to have a good bench to work with. But he's just going to attach to his Magnemite and pass. The judge is saying that Christopher needs to spread out his prize. He's probably too excited. He's going to draw his card for the turn. Pokemon Collector, but he's probably going to want to play the Juniper instead. Draw a fresh 7. You would have hoped for a Typhlosion there to get a rare candy and a Typhlosion, but can't really complain in the spot he's in. He does get a Quilava, so he'll be able to evolve one of the Cyndaquils, and then he'll attach to the Reshiram for the turn. We'll see which Cyndaquil he decides to evolve. Probably one of the benched ones. And you'll probably want to retreat here to the Reshiram and pass, or you can beat for 10. The reason that beat is a risky move is that we could see a Yanmega come out, and then a Sonic Boom could knock out the Cyndaquil, which you really don't want to see happen, because you're giving up a prize really for no reason, and a Cyndaquil, which, I mean, you would want as many Cyndaquils in play as possible, so that you can get more Typhlosions into play. We see a Pokemon Collector here. Looks like time has been called on Marco's turn, so this is very stressful. If you guys don't know the rules for the time, basically now we're going to have 3 turns to decide the champion. So Marco will be turn 0 technically. Both players will get 2 turns to complete this game. We have a rare candy, Magnezone, for Marco. This is great. But Marco will be turn 0, then Christopher will be 1, Marco 2, Christopher 3. And whoever is winning on prizes by that point wins the World Championship. Lots of pressure here. And we see a magnetic draw from Magnezone. Marco really needs to get a Yanmega into play this turn and knock out that Cyndaquil to tie the game up. He needs that, otherwise he's going to be in such trouble. We'll see if he can pull it off. We see another Magnezone. That is huge. He's going to be able to get another magnetic draw off. Draw 6 more cards. Or draw until he has 6. And here we go. He's going to need a Yanmega from here. That is for sure. Does he get it? This is all coming down to this, folks. This series has been extremely exciting. It's a shame it's going to be decided by time. It's only a 60-minute final, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless, which is just kind of summarizing this whole match. And man, did Marco draw what he needed off of that 6-card magnetic draw? He's not doing anything quickly, so I don't know. Keep in mind he also has to match Christopher's hand size if he wants to use Yanmega's Sonic Boom with that Insight Pokebody. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to do anything this turn. He might actually have to retreat to a Magnezone and pass. But we do see a Pokemon Communication. Here we go. I can't see how many cards are in Christopher's hand. Looks like 4, which is perfect for Communication. He can grab the Yanmega. You play the Communication, shuffle in a Pokemon, and then you get the Yanmega. So that's leaving him at 4 cards. He's setting up Yanmega. And we're going to see a Sonic Boom for the knockout. And this is the turn of the tournament right here. We have a Revive from Christopher. He's going to get another Reshiram into play. If he can get a Typhlosion out, he can knock out this Yanmega and take the prize lead and make it extremely difficult for Marco to respond. So there's the Typhlosion. Wow. Rare Candy Typhlosion. And a second Typhlosion. Wow. Incredible turn from Christopher. He needed to draw that there, and he pulled it off. So he's going to be able to Blue Flare for the knockout. We are now on turn number 2 of time. If Marco does not tie the game up here, Christopher is your world champion, and he was down so much. I mean, wow. He went through so much to get here. He was down in that first game. He was so close. He pulled off that miracle victory in the second game. And just here, he's so close to winning the World Championship. But, alright, this is the only way Marco can pull off a win here. He gets his Jirachi, gets to use Stardust Song. If he gets 1 out of 3 heads, he can get a 3rd energy into play. And, oh no! They're all 3 tails! Oh my goodness. Wow. And just like that, there's nothing in play that Marco can knock out. He doesn't have enough energy in play to knock anything out. Everything has more than 100 hit points, and that has to be devastating. 1 out of 3 heads, you tie the game, you get another turn, you can possibly win this tournament. It seemed so sure that he would win after that first game. It looked like he was in such a great position in the second game. Gets to go first the third game, and is just barely out of reach. The 1 heads was all he needed to tie the game up, make this go further. But it's just not his day. And it looks like there's nothing he can do. Time was called. And that's it. Christopher is winning as time is over. And there's nothing Marco can do. You gotta feel terrible for him. And there it is. Christopher Khan is your world champion in the senior division for the 2011 World Championships. What an incredible series. What a heartbreaking finish. But congratulations to Christopher and Marco. Both these guys played a heck of a series. And I don't even know what else to say, man. That was just one of the best matches I've ever seen. And I'm glad we got to capture this here from the World Championship. Thank you to the Pokemon Company International for allowing us to use this footage. They gave this to us a while ago. Just getting around to using it. And as you can see there, Christopher Khan, your world champion. Congratulations to Christopher. Wow, what a tournament. What a turnout. And that's all I can say. So, thank you guys for watching. I am Puka here from the Top Cut. That's really all I gotta say. I hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll have more videos for you soon. But until then, wow, that's all I can say. See you guys next time.